Now, it was pointed to us a while back by Maria in Plymouth that it's been 10 years that since we started talking about the code of conduct. Okay.
Yeah.
And obviously it seemed a sensible thing to give it a bit of a wax, a bit of a polish, a new lick of paint. So your suggestions have been coming in as to how we should conduct ourselves in cinemas, what with one thing and another, and at home as we're watching more films in that way at the moment. So we're in a position to give you some more detail on the amendments to the code. Now, that code is very briefly, no eating anything harder than a soft roll, no slurping, no rustling, no irresponsible parenting, no hobbies, no talking, no mobile phone usage. We'll come to this one shortly. No kicking of seats, no arriving late, and no shoe removal, except where culturally appropriate, such as in Japan. That's my snowflake voice. So we may need to rule on a few things as the show goes on. So here are the 2020 amendments to the Code of Conduct Cinema Edition. Okay. The Sergio M. Sampson Amendment, not ruled upon yet. This impacts on the Yonit Amendment, which we'll come to. I agree with the following rules and shall obey them as if I were the third person in the screening, even if the room appears to be empty at the moment. The Laura in Bristol Amendment. In times of pandemic, some leniency is allowed, and it's permitted to leave the cinema early and not watch the credits, as this gives cinema staff extra time to cleanse the venue between screenings. The Steve Amendment. Take your rubbish with you and deposit it in the appropriate recycling receptacle unless specifically instructed otherwise. The Yonit Amendment. It is permitted to look at your phone if you're the only person in the cinema. I mean, I think yes. Mark thinks no. The famous Max Pentecost Amendment. Who are you? I'm Max Pentecost. Do not discuss the film you've just watched until you're at least 100 meters from the cinema. I think that's accepted.
Very good. Very good.
The Purdom Amendment. You should, whenever possible, buy snacks and drinks from the cinema. Keep them in a bag and eat them on the way home, or give the cinema a fiver. So, this is because a lot of cinemas rely on the fact that you're spending £27 for a bag of fruit gums.
That's right.
The William from Exeter Amendment. If your cinema-going companion falls asleep, let them sleep, unless they're snoring or unless Darth Vader is on the screen. So they are the latest amendments that we are that are there up and running. What do you think so far, Mark?
I think that's great. I think I just remember Tom Hanks talking about the Constitution being constantly amended in order to make it more perfect. And I just think that's what we're doing with the Code of Conduct. It is becoming more perfect. In
the last half hour, we'll return with more amendments to the Code of Conduct Home Edition. So everything is getting more complicated. Because there are going to be two versions. Also, the other thing before we get to our box office top 10, which is, for obvious reasons, not a domestic top 10, hundreds, literally hundreds. How many emails, Mark?
Hundreds.
Yes, that's right. About your beloved local cinema. Mayo at bbc.co.uk is the emergency mail address. We're trying to celebrate the best cinemas around the country because they need a lot of help. Because we intend to carry on through lockdown 2, lock harder. Or the intermission, as some people are calling it, because cinemas will be back in December, as far as we know. Though I have to say, who knows? Who can predict from one week to the next? Will cinemas be open in December? Interesting.
We hope so. We hope so.
Earlier in the programme, we were introducing new amendments to the Code of Conduct, Cinema Edition, and we can now present to you your suggested guidelines for home film watching. Because so many people are, obviously the rules are slightly different. Are they different in your house, Mark? Notably different rules in your house as opposed to at a screening?
It depends on whether or not I am around. I mean, I am the Terminator, and I will brook no truck or truck no brook or whatever. What is that phrase?
Don't know, but you're not gonna allow.
But for everybody else, it's absolute. It's men. But of course, now the good lady professor, her indoors, and me, we're empty nesters. So it's just the two of us. So in fact, we've been watching movies with very strict rules, very strict adherence to the code.
So the Emmy Elson Amendment, which hasn't been finally ruled on, it is not permitted to use a mobile phone during the watching of a film at home, even to look up someone on IMDb or make notes, even if you are on your own. This is disrespectful to the filmmakers. I do not agree with this amendment.
No, I agree with it.
So it's not finally.
That's not passed. It's not unanimously passed yet.
The Tabitha Amendment. Eating is permitted, but preparation must be prior to the commencement of the film.
I agree.
The Halima Amendment, there should be a democratic consensus on lighting arrangements prior to the commencement of the film. A low level of ambient lighting is acceptable, but it must not reflect on your screen. This is obviously a health and safety issue, so you don't collapse in a heap.
Yes, I agree with that. Do you agree with that?
Yes. I think Halima has passed. Whitby has passed. The Cooper Amendment, talking is okay, but commentary is not. I don't think talking is okay, to be honest.
No,
So we're not
unanimously
allowing
overruled.
that. The Trevor Amendment is this. The pause rule should be quite simple. Bladders, bowels and babies all get a pause. But that's all. Babies are kids for which the movie isn't suitable. One addendum is that a pause can become a soft stop if what's on screen is not pausable at a suitable frame, not a hard stop.
Yes, I'll go with that.
What about if you get an Ocado delivery halfway through? Can you pause it for that?
I think you have to, because you can't leave the delivery guys just because. I mean, their job is hard enough as it is. We all saw that Ken Loach film. So,
and if you got a parcel, they actually have to do like 26 deliveries a minute. So
I know. No, it is terrifying. So yes, I think
pause
one
for
has
deliveries.
to stop for that.
The Rob H17 Amendment. You must never share your theories about potential twists with your fellow viewers. Write it down on a piece of paper and save it for the end. I think that's fine, but that comes under the ban on talking. If you can't talk, you can't share your theories. So,
But the writing it down on a piece of paper, I think, is something
all right.
that I agree with very passionately. So yes.
the Simon Thompson Amendment, set the expectations in advance with everyone. If you're one of those families who needs something or other, then plan an interval. If you don't like it, don't spoil it for others. I think if everyone agrees on an interval, then
Yes.
that's fine.
Perfectly fine. I'm an advocate of intervals. As long as you all agree that you're going to have an interval, then yes. And also it means that people don't say, like, can we just hang on? I've just got to have a wee. You all know there's an interval coming.
So just hold it together somehow.
Yeah.
We're going to collate all the amendments, dust off the hand-cranked Banda copier with the funny-smelling purple ink, and we're going to throw copies of the new code out of the Wittertainment private biplane next week. So that'll all be coming. It'll be the final gospel edition. Thank you very much for your contributions. Mayo at bbc.co.uk.